Bachan is a cursed prince who hides from everyone because he kills anything he touches. However, everything changes when he falls in love with his busty maid and must now find a way to cure his curse so he can crack her. It all started years ago, when Bachan was cursed by the witch who makes everything he touches die. From then on, Bachan wonders where he can find a cure to free himself from the curse, so he can return home from being exiled by his family. However, he has a bigger issue, and that is his busty maid, Alice, who always tempts him to touch her, kiss her, or even crack her cheeks until the bed begs them to stop, which Bachan refuses to do, knowing she will die. One morning, he wakes to find Alice close beside him, and she presents a lovingly prepared breakfast. When he claims he is not hungry, she asks why he dislikes meals, and he confesses that since the curse, mealtimes have been the worst part of the day, as his family always sat far away from him. Then, she informs him that his childhood homie, Philip, plans to visit soon. On the day of the reunion, Bachan gets cold feet and begs Alice to cancel the meeting, but she refuses, knowing how excited he really is after seeing how he even practiced his greetings by himself. He then tells her that after the curse, Philip was the only person who did not shun him, and he hopes they can be friends again. While dressing up, Alice praises his features from his hair to his lips, saying that she wants to kiss them,
Yeah, boy.
which Bachan refuses. Just then, Philip arrives with his attendants, and Bachan greets him warmly, reminiscing about how Philip used to throw bugs at Bachan as a prank. Hearing that, Philip and his men quickly apologize, and Bachan tries to reach out to assure them it's fine. The bodyguards quickly shield Philip from his touch, and while Philip says they're merely making a cool pose, Bachan feels sad, knowing they see him as a monster. Later, Bachan asks why Philip is here, and he says that he's here to simply see his old buddy. Philip then recognizes Alice as the head maid's daughter, and is surprised to see her working there. Just then, Philip takes out a cigar, and when his goon lights a match, he bumps the table and knocks over a potted plant. Bachan catches it mid-fall, but in his grasp, the plant instantly dies, which terrifies Philip and his goons, making them realize they need to leave quickly. However, just before leaving, Philip makes an excuse to go to the toilet so Alice will show him the way. And when they're alone, he urges Alice to escape with them from Bachan, but the girl refuses. Philip asks if Bachan has her at gunpoint, but Bachan pops up and tells him to stay away from his hot babe of a maid. When Bachan approaches, Philip stops him with his cane and calls him a monster. Then, he reveals that Bachan's own mother sent Philip because rumors say Bachan's younger brother will inherit the family title. He warns Bachan that his family may cut him off entirely, adding that while he's scared of him, he also feels sad for him. After the guests leave, Bachan starts sinking into dark thoughts that everyone, including Alice, will end up abandoning him. Alice finds him in his despair, and Bachan admits he always imagines such fears whenever she is away. He says he has no right to love her, since he cannot touch her. He picks a white rose, lamenting that he cannot even offer it without murdering it. But Alice takes the withered flower and tells him that giving a dead white rose means wanting to stay together forever. Then, Alice assures him that being with him is already more precious than any gift. Moved by her feelings, Bachan silently vows that someday he will place a ring on her finger himself and make her his bride. The next morning, the butler Rob returns from his sick leave and declares he is back on duty. He apologizes to Alice for leaving all the work to her, but she assures him she enjoys every single second she spends with her master. While Rob works, Bachan remembers and appreciates how, after he is cursed, Rob is the only butler willing to accompany him to the mansion. With Rob back on the job, Alice has nothing to do, so she asks Bachan if her presence bothers him, and he says that her unmissable presence is distracting him from reading.
Naughty, naughty.
Just then, Rob pops up with tea, and although Bachan worries about his health, Rob thanks him for his concern and insists he is fine. He orders Alice to split the housework with him, and as she leaves with Rob, she sneaks Bachan some eye candy to activate his monkey brain neurons. Later, Bachan believes that despite his age, Rob's performance has not declined, but suddenly, Rob nearly touches him, mistaking him for Alice. Rob explains his eyesight is worsening, and Bachan reminds him that his old age is starting to show, but Rob refuses to accept that. Bachan tries to explain that he would die from contact, yet Rob now struggles to hear him because his hearing is failing as well. At that moment, Alice pops in, and when Rob spots her, he leans extremely close to see who she is, making Bachan jealous out of his possessiveness, until Rob finally realizes it is her. As he backs away, Bachan accidentally bumps a vase, but Rob catches it and assures Bachan that while he's slowly pruning older, his skills will never fade.
Are you sure about that?
Later, Bachan spends time on his favorite pastime, playing piano and composing songs, believing that if his family were to disown him fully, he could become the next Mozart and make a living that way. Suddenly, Alice appears right beside him and startles him, so she apologizes, saying she cannot resist listening to his masterpiece. Bachan tells her to behave more normally, and when she moves too close, He orders her to focus on her work, so she will leave him in peace. Alice obeys and cleans the fireplace, but being a man who likes soft and squishy things, Bakshin gives in to his desire and peeks at her. However, Alice catches him in the act, and Ba-chan accuses her of doing it deliberately. To avoid disturbing him further, Ba-chan orders her to sit beside him and enjoy his music instead. When he begins to play the masterpiece he was making earlier, Alice imagines the moment he gave her the wilted white rose, filling her with comfort as she knows he loves her. She tells him the song is beautiful, and Ba-chan admits he composed it for her and wants her to hear it. Flustered, he says that he's going to take a nap and that she should wake him for dinner. But before Alice leaves, she says she will kiss him goodnight. Their lips draw close, almost touching. But Alice pulls back and says she is joking, leaving Bakshin with a stiffy. Meanwhile, at Bakshin's family estate, his sister, Viola, decides to secretly leave, and the next morning, she and her attendants barge into Bakshin's mansion, mocking him and saying that he looks ugly as always. Her presence makes Bakshin panic, so he calls for Alice, and when she appears, he orders her to throw Viola out, but Viola refuses, saying she wants to speak with her brother. They share tea, and when Bakshin annoyingly asks when she's going to leave, Viola says that she won't be staying for long, knowing that their mother would be pissed if she knew that she was here. Then, Viola asks Alice to bring her more sweets, which Bakshin knows is her favorite thing to eat, and is the reason for her below-average growth. When Alice steps away, Viola notices Bakshin watching her leave, and calls him out for loving her. He admits that he does, and Viola starts giving him advice for his crusty appearance, saying that just as she hides her cooked hairline under her bangs, Bakshin needs to conceal the dark circles under his eyes he got from gooning at night. Afterward, Viola returns home, saying she will visit again, and when she wishes Ba-chan luck so he can come back someday, he blushes, realizing his sister still waits for his return. On her way out, she meets Rob, who greets her warmly, and she blushes heavily from seeing the deal that she always wanted to crack. She says she also comes to see him, and when Rob shows her some attention, Bakshin notices how weak Viola still is for handsome older men. Hours later, Bakshin panics after finding a black cat in the mansion, and begs Alice to remove it. Alice teases him for being a scared cat against a cat, but Bakshin assures her that what she's scared of is touching the cat. When Alice approaches, the cat accepts her warmth and immediately begins kneading her melons, making everyone watching jealous. They notice a collar and wonder if it has an owner, but before checking, the cat sees Ba-chan and begins chasing him around, making him squeal in fear it might touch him. They run past Rob, who joins the chase, but with his poor eyesight, he mistakes the cat for Ba-chan. When Rob catches it, he realizes it is a cat and releases it again, sending Ba-chan fleeing once more. Then they realize the cat wants Bo-chan's bolo tie and let it play with it. From the cat's collar, they find a message addressed to them asking forgiveness. Alice does not understand, but Ba-chan does, realizing the cat's owner apologized for abandoning the cat to them. They feed it outside, and Ba-chan speaks to it, saying he knows how it feels to be left behind. Soon, other cats appear to join it, and Rob tells Ba-chan the cat has already found a new family. They inform Ba-chan tea is ready, and as he leaves, he looks back at the cat, happy it has found a home. Later, Alice finds Ba-chan alone in the ballroom, and he tells her that though it is now fully empty, his grandpa once liked to practice his dancing here, and because he was a horrible dancer, he always trained with Alice's mother, the head maid. They see it as fate that they stand there together, and when Bakshin nervously asks Alice to dance with him, Alice refuses, telling him to ask properly. Gathering courage, he invites her again like a proper gentleman, and she accepts. Without touching directly, they dance together alone in the dark ballroom, moving passionately through the night. Afterward, they stand in the moonlight, and Bakshin asks what she thinks of him. She first says he is important to her, but he asks what she thinks of him as a man. When Alice says she loves him so deeply that words cannot contain it, Bakshin feels joy, and they go to dinner, now knowing they have feelings for each other. The next day, Bakshin plays billiards like an absolute pro, while the others watch and cheer from the side. Alice joins him, and on their round, they make a wager that the loser has to follow what the winner asks of them. On the final shot, Bakshin is about to win, but just before he strikes, Alice leans close and whispers into his ear, warning him to put it gently into the hole, which completely ruins his focus and makes him miss the shot. Taking advantage of his failure, Alice calmly sinks the ball herself and wins the match. Because of their wager, Bakshin now has to grant whatever wish she chooses. His heart pounds with nervous excitement as he imagines all the things she can ask from him, secretly wanting her to ask him to go full Spurty McGoo inside her. But to his complete surprise and slight disappointment, Alice simply asks him to go on a date with her and walk around town together.
Women.
Later, during tea, she explains that a costume festival will be held in town, and if Ba-chan wears a thick costume, No one will be able to touch him through it. Although he feels anxious about being surrounded by crowds of people, Alice kneels in front of him and begs him like a puppy to come with her. Unable to refuse her pleading, he agrees. The next day, they arrive in town dressed in disguises, and Ba-chan's costume is wrapped around steel from head to toe to prevent people from touching him, even though he has to carry the weight. But when he sees Alice's outfit, he sincerely compliments how cute she looks, which makes her smile happily. Seeing how crowded the place is, she suggests that they cancel the outing and return home if it is too much for him. But Ba-chan refuses, insisting he wants to fulfill her wish and spend the day with her, which makes her happy. As they continue walking, Ba-chan bumps into more people in the crowded streets, and during a brief moment when Alice looks away, he gets knocked over and separated from her. Alice begins searching frantically, and during her search, a masked woman stops her and asks if she is Sharon. Alice answers that Sharon is her mother, not her, and the masked stranger immediately recognizes her as Sharon's daughter, but leaves without revealing her own identity before Alice can question her further. Meanwhile, Ba-chan wanders lost through the city until a boy suddenly clings to him, also lost, and is crying for his mama. Ba-chan has no idea how to handle the situation, as he's lost himself, but when he notices a piano nearby, he decides that music might calm the boy down. When he starts playing one of his tunes, not just the boy, but everyone in the town gathers. Due to how good the music is, it turns into a festival-like event where other musicians join in and others dance, filled with laughter and celebration inspired by the beautiful music. Eventually, the boy's worried mother arrives, and the boy reunites with her. So Ba-chan stops playing. Just then, Alice pops inside his disguise and is relieved to see him okay. She again asks if he would prefer to go home now, but Ba-chan surprises her by saying he wants to stay in town with her longer. They go sightseeing and even watch a show of a princess on a tower. Then, they find a mask seller, and Ba-chan finds a mask that looks exactly like his own face. They are amused by it, and the shopkeeper explains that the design is based on the rumored face of Death Incarnate, said to live in a nearby mansion. The man's words hurt Ba-chan's mood, and after they leave, he tries to cheer himself up with ice cream, insisting that he is not a monster but simply a man who has been cursed. The ice cream tastes so good that he offers Alice a lick, but when she does so in an overly sensual way, he flusters and tells her to stop licking things provocatively. Alice then suggests climbing the clock tower, explaining that it is empty in that moment, and when they reach the top, Ba-chan is amazed by the beautiful view spread below them. Alice shares a local legend about a princess and the moon, where a prince is taken by a witch and placed on the moon far from his beloved, while the princess blows a kiss to the moon every night so their love will never fade. Ba-chan imagines the prince returning those kisses from afar, and the story makes him unexpectedly sad. When Alice asks why, he admits that, unlike the tale, he feels distant from her even though she stands right beside him, and because he loves her so much, he longs desperately to touch her during their date. Alice gently reassures him that simply being close to him already makes her happy, and that she hopes to remain by his side forever. That night, Ba-chan receives a note from Alice telling him to come to her room if he cannot sleep. Hoping to crack some sweet cheeks, Ba-chan goes there, and when he calls to her, she invites him in, appearing with her pepperonis exposed and immediately flustering him, casually saying that she normally sleeps without clothes. After she dresses, he enters her pleasantly scented room. She tells him she will ease his tension tonight, and he sits down eagerly, unsure what to expect. On the table, he notices her plot cover there, and while she serves him tea, he wonders if she is wearing any at all. She instructs him to lie on her bed, and as she leans closer to his face, he braces himself to get some tongue action, but she suddenly stops and tells him to go to sleep. Confused and disappointed, he protests internally, but she explains she only intends to help him sleep, exactly as her note said. He resigns himself and lies down. Before drifting off, he asks her to come with him the next day because he has something important to show her. Ba-chan takes Alice out on a boat to watch a meteor shower that happens only once every decade. He explains that he saw it 10 years ago and has always wanted to see it again with her beside him. Alice is deeply happy to share such a moment with him, and Ba-chan says he wants to properly confess his feelings this time instead of avoiding them as he usually does. When the meteors begin falling across the sky, Alice keeps gazing at Ba-chan rather than the heavens, and when he asks why, she says that he's more beautiful than any view. Suddenly, his hat blows off in the wind. Alice rushes after it and nearly falls overboard. Because of his curse, Ba-chan cannot grab her, and she plunges into the water. He apologizes frantically and reaches out before jerking his hand back, remembering he cannot touch her. Instead, Alice urges him to kiss her, declaring that, unlike the distant princess who cannot reach her prince, she wants his kiss even if it takes her life. He hesitates in fear and love, while she moves closer without doubt. Just before their lips meet, he stops himself, unable to risk her life. At that moment, Alice deliberately tips the boat, sending them both into the water and declaring that he needs exercise, hence why she forces him to swim. After they climb ashore, she asks if he's still confessing to her, but Bachan refuses, believing the chance has passed. Back home, they warm themselves before the fireplace. Alice then invites him to watch another meteor shower together 10 years in the future, and Bachan feels happy hearing that she wants to stay with him for another decade. The next day, Bachan finds himself unable to stop thinking about the kiss he rejected. The memory replays in his mind again and again, each time filling him with fresh regret. He worries that Alice might be upset with him, or that he might hurt her feelings. When morning comes, and Alice and Rob enter the room as usual, his fears seem confirmed when Alice behaves completely differently. She avoids his eyes, keeps a noticeable distance, and doesn't tease him with her creamy melons like usual. Bachan tries to provoke her into her normal self and tease him like she always does, but Alice remains composed and distant, refusing to play along. The change devastates him, wondering where the usual freaky Alice who likes to tempt him into cracking her is gone, and whether he did something wrong to drive her away. Rob notices Bachan's unusual depression and asks what troubles him. Bachan confesses miserably that he misses the old Alice, but Rob says that he doesn't see anything unusual in Alice. However, when Bachan looks at Alice closely, he notices something unusual, so he orders Rob to touch her, and from there, they find that Alice has a fever. Bachan takes Alice to her room and settles her into bed, apologizing anxiously for getting her soaked during the boat incident. Alice weakly tells him that it is not why she fell ill, and it was actually because she was watching him asleep from outside the whole night, while gooning herself to sleep. Embarrassed, Alice asks him to leave her alone and let her rest, but Bachan refuses. He insists that since he can't touch her, he at least wants to remain beside her and take care of her wherever he can. When he places a blanket across her lap, she hugs it tightly, imagining it is him holding her, and the sight makes Bachan fold. The next day, snow begins to fall, and Alice recovers enough to return to her usual self. She invites Bachan to warm his cold hands between her warm badonkadonks, but he refuses in panic, insisting she would die if he touched her. That night, as Bachan prepares to sleep, Alice gently wraps a scarf around his neck. He notices it is new, and she shyly admits she knitted it herself for him. She then asks if they can play together in the snow the following day. Touched by her effort and warmth, Bachan promises he will, and they seal the promise with a pinky swear, while the scarf rests around his shoulders. The next morning, they step outside into the fresh snowfall. Bachan is delighted by the snowy landscape, but even more by how adorable Alice looks against the white backdrop. He scoops up a handful of snow and tosses it playfully toward her. When it lands and melts against her melons, he stares in shock as it trickles between her curves, leaving her flustered. At that moment, Rob appears behind them, and when they ask why his prune cheeks are there, he explains that he wishes to join their snow play. Without hesitation, he begins shaping a snowman, and wanting to help, Bachan encourages Alice to roll snowballs with him. As they work, Alice continues teasing him, making freaky comments about how soft the snowballs are in her hands. She tells Bachan to rest while she and Rob finish assembling the snowman, but while her back is turned, Bachan yeets a snowball straight at her. She dodges with ease and retaliates instantly, firing snowballs at machine gun pace, starting a full-on snowball fight. Rob watches happily as Bachan laughs and smiles freely, but when a stray snowball hits him, he has no choice but to join the battle. The three of them spend the entire day in playful chaos, collapsing into laughter again and again amid the snow. Afterward, Alice asks Bachan to hand over the scarf so she can wash it, but he refuses stubbornly and runs off, unwilling to part with her wonderful gift. As she watches him go, she suddenly realizes one of her earrings, the pair her mother gave her, is missing somewhere in the snow. She tries to go outside to search, but the cold overwhelms her weakened body. Bachan notices her distress and understands immediately. Without hesitation, he goes out alone into the freezing snow to search for the lost earring. He shovels through mound after mound, digging desperately despite the biting cold. His body soon numbs, and eventually he collapses face down in the snow. At that moment, a small white bat flies past the mansion, searching for food. It lands nearby and transforms into its true form. She spots Bachan lying motionless in the snow and rushes over. When he regains consciousness, she tries to help him up, but he urgently warns her about his curse, explaining that touching him would send him to a Michael Jackson concert. He then tells her that he is searching for his maid's lost earring, and hearing this, Cuff praises him for caring so deeply about someone who serves him. She suggests he give up before freezing to death, but Bachan refuses, saying he wants to see Alice smile again. He collapses once more before finding the earring, and Cuff, impressed by his resolve, uses her fire magic to melt away vast sections of snow, revealing the buried jewelry. When Bachan awakens again, he's confused to see the cleared ground, and Cuff shows him the recovered earring. Soon after, Bachan brings Cuff inside the mansion and offers her food in gratitude. When Alice appears, Bachan introduces them and explains how Cuff saved him. Alice scolds him fiercely for risking his life in the cold, but when he presents the recovered earring from her mother, her anger melts, relieved to have her heirloom back. Suddenly, Cuff grabs Alice and drags her away, asking to use the bath. Left alone, Bachan begins to wonder why the two girls are taking so long. His imagination runs wild, picturing them playing rock, paper, scissors with only scissors in the bath. The thought overwhelms him, and he bursts into a sudden dance performance that makes you want to bleach your eyes about how happy he is. Just then, the two girls reappear, startling him mid-performance, and Cuff thanks them for the bath. Then, they serve her dinner as thanks for saving Bachan, and during the meal he cautiously asks her about witches. Cuff initially refuses, unwilling to discuss her kind. However, when Alice offers her dessert, Cuff immediately gives in and begins explaining. She reveals she does not know the witch who cursed Bachan, and explains that witches are not all allied with one another. She describes how witches like her are hunted by human witch hunters who target them indiscriminately. To Bachan's surprise, she confesses her father was human, and was also murdered by those hunters simply for being associated with witches. Because she is half human and half witch, she was rejected by both worlds, but she endured because she had one close friend, a boy, who stayed with her. Hearing this, Bachan recalls Philip calling him a monster, and realizes how similar their loneliness is. He thanks her sincerely for saving him despite him being human, and Cuff replies that his determination is what compelled her to help. Then, Alice returns with Cuff's repaired robe. Remembering the mysterious road woman she met earlier, Alice asks whether all witches wear robes. Cuff confirms they do, and says it is rare for humans to dress that way. Bachan then asks if she knows how to break his curse, and Cuff admits she does not and says her friend always handled such matters because she is a complete idiot compared to him. Bachan teases that she seems fond of this friend, which makes Cuff blush furiously. Unsure how to process her feelings, she abruptly flees out the window in bat form. The following day, Alice visits the snowman they built, shaped to resemble Bachan. She quietly remembers childhood days when other children bullied her and Bachan alone stood by her side and comforted her. As she gazes at the snow figure, Bachan approaches carrying an umbrella to escort her back. When he notices her staring longingly at him, he realizes how deeply she wishes he could simply hold her. The next morning, while they drink tea, Bachan notices that Alice seems to wear the same maid outfit every day. He offers to buy her a new one, but Alice laughs and tells him she actually changes often. To his surprise, she explains that what he sees is just her inner layer, and that she has many variations of it. Later, Viola visits the mansion again, and when she runs into Rob, she gets extremely flustered and doesn't know how to act. Bachan reminds her that Rob is an old prune who probably couldn't get a stiffy anymore, but Viola accepts that she has fallen for him anyway. Bachan also points out that Rob is just a servant, but Viola snaps at him to be quiet and reminds him of his own situation with Alice. Just then, Alice arrives with snacks, and while they are munching, Viola studies her closely, curious about what kind of girl she is. She scolds Alice, saying that while her figure is impressive, she lacks a certain charm in the human appeal department. Viola orders Bachan to look away while she teaches Alice her charm method, showing her how to make a cute expression. When Alice finally gets it right and shows the face to Bachan, he almost spits out his milk in shock. At that moment, Rob appears and politely tells Viola it's time for her to return home. Before she leaves, Bachan suggests she should try the same cute expression on Rob. Viola agrees, but when she actually tries, she completely loses her composure and looks like an ugly dog, unable to act cute in front of him. The next day, Viola visits again and once more gets flustered when she sees Rob. The old butler brings her to the kitchen, where Bachan is helping Alice cook. Viola sees a chance to impress Rob by showing her cooking skills, so she jumps in and offers to help. Bachan notices her plan and pairs her with Rob to make bread, but Viola calls him a creep for setting that up, even though he is trying to help. As Rob shapes the dough, Viola keeps making happy squeals at how gentle and focused he looks. Then, Rob forms the dough into a little cat shape, and Viola is amazed by his skill and jokes that it feels like they are newlyweds baking together. She then says Bachan is lucky to have both Alice and Rob beside him, and hopes he can return home soon to keep the family title. Rob thanks her for thinking well of him and for caring about Bachan. Later, as Viola is about to leave, Rob runs after her and hands her a basket of their fresh bread, telling her she is welcome anytime. When she opens it, she finds the cat-shaped bread she helped make and happily eats it. The next day, Bachan goes ice skating with Alice. Each time she glides past him, she gives him a playful tease. Suddenly, a talking bird lands beside him and talks about how he wants to jiggle Alice's jugs. At first, Bakken thinks that he ate a bad paracetamol, which causes him to hallucinate, but the bird asks if he has seen someone who looks lost, and here Bakken realizes this must be the friend Cuff mentioned, and that he is looking for her. Alice skates over and says she also met someone surprising. Before she can explain, the bird transforms into a bird head named Zane, who reveals he is a witch. He immediately tries flirting with Alice, but Bakken shoves him away, not letting him get close to his future baby mama. Zane complains that he just loves cute girls, especially since Cuff always ignores him, and openly admits that he loves big melons, which he assumes Bakken also likes. Bakken insists he prefers smoother than butter thighs instead, which makes Alice quickly take notes. Zane then worries about where Cuff has gone, and whether she is safe, but to their surprise, from Alice's almighty twin puppies, Cuff pops up, and Alice reveals that she has been with her the whole time after Alice found her freezing in the lake and warmed her up. While Alice rests, the others try skating. Zane attempts to teach Cuff, teasing that she should move more gracefully like Alice instead of stomping around. Cuff gets angry and burns his face with magic. Watching them makes Bakken jealous, as he wishes he could hold Alice's hands too. When Alice offers her hands to him, he refuses, afraid of hurting her. Suddenly, he slips on the ice, but laughs and says he is having fun, which makes Alice happy as well. Meanwhile, Cuff hugs Zane from behind and makes him pull her along the ice. She drags Alice over to join them, and Alice then asks Bakken to join too, so he grabs onto her sleeves and lets himself be pulled along safely. Later, before leaving, the witches tell Bakken they want to invite him to a witches' gathering so he can search for the one who cursed him. Alice asks to go too, since she wants to learn more about the mysterious robed girl she met in town. Bakken hesitates, but Alice uses the cute expression Viola taught her, and he gives in. That night, Viola visits Alice in her room and is shocked by the weapons she has been hiding under her clothes. They relax together, and Viola notices a dead white rose on Alice's table, which Alice says is her most precious item. After tea, Viola cuddles against her and says it feels like a girl's party. Alice asks what that means, and Viola explains that it is when girls share secrets. In a girl's party spirit, Viola admits she has a crush on Rob, and Alice is surprised but says she thinks Rob would suit her well. Viola then asks who Alice likes, and Alice answers that she has feelings for her own Prince Charming. Viola laughs, thinking Alice means someone else, not realizing she is talking about her own brother. After hours of chatting, Viola confesses she always wanted an older sister, since their mother focused all her attention on the boys. Just then, Bakken appears, looking for Viola. Alice tells him she is asleep and suggests he give her more praise and attention when she wakes, which he agrees to do, but the next morning, when Bakken awkwardly tries to compliment her, Viola just calls him a creep. The next day, during tea time, Bakken tells Alice that her uniform bothers him. She tries to show her thighs, but he explains it's because her shoulders are too exposed. Alice experiments with several outfits, yet Bakken dislikes every one. She then declares she will start going commando, and Bakken hurriedly shuts that idea down. Later, they head to the abandoned conservatory. Bakken offers to help Alice clean it so it can become a reading room, but when he turns back, she is already pulling cleaning tools. Using his curse, Bakken begins withering the plants around him. As he works, he reflects on how the witch imposed strict rules on the curse that anything in direct contact with him dies, yet contact through thick clothing causes no effect. To Bakken, it is obvious the witch wants to control him. At that moment, he notices Alice admiring the beautiful flowers nearby. Despite their charm, she asks him to use his curse to wither them so she can clean. However, after seeing how much she loves them, Bakken instead weaves a flower crown from the blossoms and places it on her head. She thanks him warmly, calling it another treasure she will cherish forever. Seeing her happiness strengthens his resolve to find the witch and break the curse, hoping that one day he can return home to his mother and dine together again as a family. Meanwhile, Viola sits at dinner with the others and receives a scolding from her mother for acting unladylike, yet Viola merely shrugs it off. Back at the mansion, Bakken walks the halls when he hears Alice struggling with someone. He rushes over and finds her in only a bathrobe. She explains that the cat stole her favorite gown while she bathed, and Bakken decides to help retrieve it. Alice insists on joining the search, refusing to wait behind, but because she looks far too creamy, Bakken drapes his blazer over her shoulders. She lifts it to her nose, murmuring that it smells like him, and he quickly urges her onward. During their search, Bakken cannot stop staring at her plots, and she teasingly offers to let him touch them. Just then, they discover the cat along with Alice's gown. The dress is thoroughly chewed, and they assume the cat tried to carry it to its nest. Bakken suggests she replace it, but Alice refuses, explaining it is the very gown Bakken once complimented her in. In the end, she lets the cat keep the ruined dress. When she tries to return Bakken's blazer, he declines and bids her goodnight. After he leaves, she peeks out again to wish him good night, while still inhaling the scent of his blazer. The following night, a blood moon hangs over the mansion as Cuff and Zane appear to escort Bachan to the witch's sabbath. They find him packing belongings, but Cuff burns the luggage, declaring he needs nothing. Alice asks if she may come along, and though Bachan fears the danger, Cuff and Zane casually agree. Then, Cuff hands them robes that will mask their human scent. Once they wear them, Rob suddenly appears, anxious for their safety. Bachan reassures him that with Alice beside him, they will return home unharmed. Zane then opens a portal within a mirror, and when they step through, they arrive in another world filled with witches gathered for the Sabbath. Bachan looks around in dread, realizing these witches are way different from Cuff and Zane. A ball suddenly bumps against his foot, and a witch asks him to toss it back. When he picks it up, he freezes in shock to see that it is an eyeball. Then, their leader, Daleth, appears, and Alice recognizes her as the masked woman she met in town. Daleth notices Cuff and Zane and asks who accompanies them. Zane nudges Cuff to lie and claim they are siblings, but Cuff loudly declares Bachan and Alice are their children, shocking everyone and irritating Zane. Daleth begins the meeting, and Bachan is startled to find it relaxed, with witches chatting about nonsense about Netflix subscriptions and how the economy is doomed. Soon, the gathering ends, yet Bachan has uncovered no clues about the witch who cursed him. The others react in disgust upon hearing Zane supposedly has children with Cuff, who is half human, but Zane pulls Cuff close and angrily demands apologies, warning these clapped witches never to insult her before him again. Meanwhile, Daleth recognizes Alice beneath her robe and expresses surprise that she has gained Cuff and Zane's trust. Alice asks whether her mother has ties to witches, but Daleth answers that her mother is only a minor acquaintance. When Bachan joins them, Daleth confirms she knows him as the cursed boy. To his despair, she reveals that the witch who cast the curse is dead, and the magic binding him is so strong that even she cannot undo it. She advises them to abandon hope and then burns away Bachan's robe, exposing him as human before everyone. Instantly, the witches turn hostile, forcing Bachan and Alice to flee. One witch nearly captures Alice with plant magic, but Bachan touches the vines with his curse, causing them to wither and shocking the attacker. Zane swiftly opens a portal, and with Cuff's flames holding the witches back, they escape, making Zane and Cuff enemies of their own kind. Back home, Bachan apologizes for the trouble, but Zane laughs it off, saying witches often fight among themselves and that now they can skip the Sabbath for a while. He attempts to get into Alice's plot cover by saying that he will always protect her, but the baddie ignores him and is more impressed with Bachan, praising him for saving her from a witch. Cuff asks whether they discovered anything, and while they found no leads, Bachan says he at least understands his situation better now. He then asks why Cuff has helped him so much, and she admits she wished to befriend him after witnessing his determination in the snow. Bachan tells both witches he wants to be their friend as well, and when they depart the mansion, they promise to visit again, but next time as friends. Left alone, Bachan feels newly fired up to break his curse, but Alice reflects that it is painfully lonely to be unable to touch the ones you love, so she offers him to touch her all over, which he refuses quickly. The next morning, Bachan suggests that Alice start wearing white clothing, noting how different it would be from her usual black attire. Yet the moment he imagines her in a white wedding dress, he immediately melts at the idea of marrying her. Later inside the mansion, Alice reveals she has purchased a magic pot that once belonged to a witch, and inside the pot rests a mysterious recipe book. She carefully gathers every ingredient listed and prepares them exactly as instructed. To awaken the pot's magic, she talks to the pot like it's a pick-me girl who craves attention and failed at selling her cheeks on OnlyFans. And the praises makes the pot flustered, and it heats itself until the water boils. Alice begins adding ingredients one by one, forming a strange purple soup, and as she stirs, Bachan keeps staring at the pot until it blushes and calls him a creep for looking too long. Alice then demonstrates other abilities, telling the pot it is as hot as Megan Fox at her prime, which makes it produce a thick smokescreen. Next, she orders Bachan to stir, instructing him to think happy thoughts while doing so. However, as he mixes the potion, all he can imagine is Alice wanting to use her hoo-ha to tickle his creamy pickle. And when they finish, Alice proudly announces they have created a potion meant to break a witch's curse. She scoops up a spoonful and offers it to Bachan. And while he drinks the potion, despite it tasting like sewer water, nothing changes. To confirm, he touches a flower, which still withers instantly. Though disappointed, Bachan thanks Alice for trying, explaining that her efforts lift his spirits and motivate him to keep searching for ways to break the curse. Since the magic pot proves useless, they decide to gift it to Rob. When the pot meets him, it becomes flustered again at the thought of belonging to such a hot daddy of a deal. Suddenly, Viola appears, and when she sees how much attention the pot is getting, she chases after it out of jealousy, intending to use it for her to take a dump in.
Brother,
Elsewhere, Alice browses the library and discovers a peculiar music sheet. She brings it to Bachchan and explains that it was composed by a musician named McFarlane. According to the note attached, if Bachchan can perform the piece flawlessly, it will break his curse. Bachchan sits at the piano and begins to play, and as the melody unfolds, a tiny composer materializes before him and introduces himself as McFarlane, claiming Bachchan alone can see him. Yet when McFarlane notices Alice nearby, he starts drooling, remarking that it has been centuries since he saw a woman so hot and steamy. He mischievously lifts Alice's skirt, making her assume the breeze caused it, and Bachchan loses focus the instant he glimpses her thighs. McFarlane continues his degenerate actions towards Alice, but when he leans in to kiss her, Alice suddenly pokes his eyes. He asks if she can see him, and while she insists she cannot, she answers him so naturally that it seems she does. Meanwhile, Bachchan forces himself to concentrate on the one skill he trusts most, playing the piano. He pours everything into performing the sheet perfectly, determined to shatter the curse and secure a future with Alice. When he finishes, the sheet and McFarlane both vanish, and the composer thanks Bachchan for freeing him from his own curse, leaving Bachchan irritated that it was not his curse that was broken. The following morning, Bachchan goes to fetch Alice from her room. She greets him while looking like a snack, making him hurry her to get dressed. He begins wondering whether she even sees him as a man, and he recalls how Violet once explained the suspension bridge effect, which is the idea of making someone's heart race through fear so it feels like love. Bachchan decides to test it, and after Alice changes, he attempts to scare her, but she shows no fear, convincing him he must try harder. Later, he tells her a frightening tale about an anime called One Punch Man and its horrific adaptation, but she remains unfazed. He next tries to show her a painting of a bloody woman he once saw, but cannot find it, until he suddenly notices it already hanging on the wall. Confused but determined, he tries again to frighten her, saying that a ghost moved it. But while Alice is not afraid, she tries to cheer him up by saying she's scared. She even invites him to rest his ear on her chest to feel her heartbeat, and says that her heart always beats fast when she is with him, which secretly pleases him. As Alice walks away, Rob asks whether she hung the painting there, and she admits she did, but wants Bachchan unaware, so she can scare him later. Meanwhile, Bachchan stares deeper into the eerie painting. While stepping back, he accidentally knocks over a vase, and when he moves to pick it up, Rob firmly stops him, explaining the plant inside has belonged to the mansion since its founding generation. Rob steps forward aggressively with an axe, and still terrified, Bachchan runs away. Later, Alice finds him hiding in a cupboard, and he confesses how frightening Rob becomes when angry, so she squeezes in beside him to hide together. Soon, Rob appears nearby, and they remain silent while Alice presses closer, whispering that she will protect him. Once Rob leaves, Bachchan leaps out and scolds her for nearly touching him, something she did intentionally. He searches for another hiding place, and Alice suggests he hide under her skirt, and while he wants to so he can smell the waterfall, but knows he can't. Suddenly, Rob reappears and approaches, and thinking fast and exploiting Rob's age, Bachchan imitates Alice's voice, which fools him. Afterward, they crawl under Bachchan's bed, and Alice says that her heart is pounding wildly, exactly what Bachchan hoped for. She slowly extends a finger toward his hand, yearning to touch him, but before contact happens, Rob finds them and announces an emergency. He shows them jewels recovered from the shattered vase, explaining that long ago, former maids attempted to steal Bachchan's mother's jewelry. Because they hid it inside the vase, they never reclaimed it. The maids praise Bachchan for rediscovering the treasure, and while Bachchan accepts the credit, Rob reminds him that they must still discuss the broken vase, and Bachchan realizes that he's getting an earful. That night, Bachchan awakens inside a dream and finds Alice there too. She explains that moments earlier, they opened a curse-breaking book, releasing a spirit who promised to remove the curse if they captured a white rabbit. Since it is a dream, Alice freely takes his hands and places them on her melons, but Bachchan grows depressed, realizing he feels nothing. Suddenly, the white rabbit runs past, and they chase it together, laughing and enjoying the freedom they have. After 7 hours, Alice says they will soon awaken, and still holding hands, she suggests they share a kiss before the dream ends. Bachchan eagerly leans in, bringing his lips close to hers, but he wakes up before he gets to experience how soft her lips are. The spirit they summoned rages at their failure to catch the rabbit and orders them never to summon her again. However, seeing Alice still asleep beside him, Bachchan closes his eyes once more, hoping he might re-enter her dream and continue what they began. Days later, under Rob's patient tutoring, Cuff visits the mansion to learn reading and writing. She wants to impress Zane and earn his praise, hoping he might someday see her as his future wife. Bachchan asks where Zane is, and Cuff explains that after their clash with the other witches, He has taken a job at the circus to earn money, since the doesn't care that he's a freak with a beak for a mouth. Meanwhile, at Bakken's family estate, Walter, the handsome brother, confronts Viola about visiting Bakken so often. Viola insists it is none of his concern, but Walter counters that it is, because he will soon become head of the family. Viola reminds him he is the second-born beneath Bakken, which stings deeply, and adds that if Bakken breaks the curse, he will reclaim his rightful place. Walter confesses he has never liked Bakken, and resents how their mother pins all her hopes on him, leaving Walter feeling inadequate. He demands to know why Viola insists on seeing Bakken, asking whether she secretly favors him, but she leaves without saying anything, only saying she chooses no side. At lunch, when their mother asks about Viola, Walter lies that she has gone to a friend's house, but internally, Walter convinces himself to prove that he's superior to Bakken. Later, when Viola arrives at Bakken's mansion, she encounters Cuff, who introduces herself as a circus performer, but Viola suspects she is a burglar plotting theft. She lunges to tackle Cuff, yet bounces right off her twin puppies. Viola reels in pain and disbelief at how soft and massive those puppies feel, while Cuff, assuming they are merely playing, cheerfully offers her hand to help her up. Seeing another chance, Viola charges again, but Cuff still thinks it is a game and playfully grapples back, frustrating Viola further. Eventually, Viola pins Cuff to the floor, declaring she will not let her go, but Cuff remains unfazed and calmly says she is going to sleep. Viola cannot grasp her composure, but Cuff remarks that she knows Viola is Bakken's sister, because they resemble each other so closely. Viola is angry at the comparison, yet Cuff praises Bakken as a good man and asks whether Viola likes her own brother as a person. Flustered, Viola prepares to answer just as Bakken and the others open the door. Seeing the two girls entangled on the floor, they slam it shut again, and panic floods Viola at the thought of Rob misunderstanding that she likes scissors. After the confusion is cleared, she apologizes to Cuff for accusing her of burglary. Just then, Rob gently takes a lock of Viola's hair and brushes away dust, and Viola is so happy that she dashes to the window, screaming that her dreams have come true. That night, Bakken plays chess with Alice, and she teases him throughout, asking him to go gentle with her, which almost makes him shoot white glue. As snow falls beyond the window, Alice remembers the day she first came to the mansion, which is also the day they reunited. After the curse, Bakken was shattered, hiding in his room and refusing to come out. When Rob first brought Alice to him, she tried to remind him of their childhood bond, but Bakken would not listen and claimed he did not know her. She persisted, recounting how she moved to her aunt's home after her mother died, hoping to stir his memory, but he still denied everything. Before leaving, Alice said she still remembered the gentle kindness once in his eyes, and after she left, Bakken remained alone, miserable and furious, begging to be left in isolation. Later, at Alice's request, Rob escorted her to the abandoned shack and advised her not to push Bakken too hard, formally welcoming her into the mansion. The next morning, Bakken confronted her about her maid uniform, saying it revealed too much. She responded by teasing him with her body, making his brain shut down to her PLTs, but he quickly snapped that he hated her and ordered her not to follow him. Yet she secretly watched him attempt to play the piano and fail. She later brought him dinner, and when he rejected it, she asked whether he truly hated her. Bakken confessed he felt unworthy to live with such a curse, and that she should find someone better to serve. However, Alice brushed this aside and simply complimented his appearance before leaving. Afterward, she spoke with Rob, and while he pitied her hardships, especially losing her mother, Alice insisted her life was still far kinder than Bakken's suffering. At that moment, Bakken appeared, demanding that she accompany him. He dragged her to his filthy room and ordered her to clean it within 3 days or be dismissed. He abandoned her there amid darkness and chaos, a task seeming impossible. But remembering the warmth Bakken once held, Alice found the resolve to finish. To Bakken's shock, she restored the entire room in a single night. Desperate, he told her to leave for her own good, but she sat beside him and said she wished to remain at his side. When he asked how long, she said she would stay until his tears stopped. That day, since Alice would not go, Bakken chose to leave instead. He wandered into a raging snowstorm, ready to die. He recalled the witch promising to make him unloved, and deep inside, he mourned never being able to love anyone. Suddenly, he slipped and fell into the snow. Rather than rise, he lay still, hoping the cold would claim him. In that frozen haze, he suddenly remembered who Alice was and wished he could see her again. Just then, Alice appeared beside him, pulling him back from death. He begged her to let him die, but she dumped snow onto his face and scolded him for wasting his life. She pleaded that he consider the feelings of those who cared for him. In that instant, he realized she cared, and he wanted a life that included her. She offered her hand, and Bakken accepted, choosing a future where happiness with her might exist. Later, as they warmed themselves inside, Rob expressed relief at their safety and asked whether they were finally getting along. Looking at Alice, Bachchan openly admitted before her and Rob that he liked her. Back in the present, Alice captures Bachchan's king at chess after he grows distracted by her. He sighs that it is impossible not to lose focus when someone as cute as she sits across from him. Several days later, Viola asks Bachchan and Alice what kind of Christmas present she should give Rob, and Bachchan suggests a pair of glasses because of Rob's crooked eyesight, while Alice proposes a handkerchief. Viola immediately loves Alice's idea and rushes off to buy one. Later, as Alice dresses, she tells Bachchan that with Christmas approaching, they will host a small party at the mansion with Cuff and Zane attending. Bachchan worries about what he is wearing, but Alice reassures him that he will be fine. Meanwhile, Viola tells her mother Merry Christmas, but the old hag scolds her for constantly being away from home without explanation. She asks Viola to remain with the family for Christmas, and Viola agrees at first. Yet when her mother coldly chastises her childish behavior, Viola stiffens, apologizes, and suppresses her feelings. Despite that exchange, she still decides to go to Bachchan's mansion, ignoring her mother's harsh words. Unbeknownst to her, Walter has already learned of her plan. He disguises himself as the carriage driver taking Viola to the mansion, determined to see his cursed brother and finally prove he is the rightful heir of the family. Back at the mansion, Bachchan and Alice discuss what to serve at their Christmas party. When Alice mentions Santa Claus, Bachchan imagines her in a Santa outfit, giving him the gift that all men want because he has been a good boy that year. Just then, Cuff and Zane appear carrying a Christmas tree, and Zane instantly tries to charm Alice, but Cuff smacks him down to the floor. Moments later, Cuff eagerly talks about meeting Santa, and the others realize that despite being a witch, she genuinely believes Santa exists. While the girls decorate the tree, the boys handle the room decorations. Zane cannot help staring at Alice's plumpy pumps, prompting Bachchan to warn him to stop. Zane shifts attention to Cuff instead, remarking that although she is useless at decorating, she is actually cute and well-equipped in the plot department. Bachchan encourages him to tell her directly, but Zane refuses, afraid of ruining their friendship. Zane then proposes a prank to wrap Alice in shiny ribbon, as if she were the gift. Bachchan's imagination runs wild at the thought, tempting him. But before anything happens, Cuff overhears and burns Zane for it. After the tree is finished, Cuff excitedly wakes Zane, who has dozed off, to show her work. Remembering Bachchan's advice, Zane gently pats her head and tells her the tree is as beautiful as she is. To his dismay, she appears asleep, standing, and never hears him. So he lays her down on the couch, unaware she is actually awake and heard everything. That night, Viola reaches the mansion and rushes inside to present Rob with her gift. When Walter steps out from the carriage, he finds the present she dropped and assumes she meant to give it to Bachchan, believing him superior. He sneaks into the mansion, making sure no one notices, and while wandering, he discovers a stray Santa outfit. Curious, he puts it on to experience what being Santa feels like. Suddenly, Cuff pops up, and seeing the costume, she believes Walter is truly Santa Claus and becomes thrilled. Wanting to avoid getting caught, Walter hands her the dropped present, which delights her. He tries to leave, but Cuff follows persistently. As he attempts to evade her, he witnesses her bat transformation and realizes she is a witch. She drags him toward the chimney, urging him to continue delivering gifts. Meanwhile, Viola is distressed about losing her present. Spotting Zane, she buries her face in his bird fur to comfort herself. Soon, Alice and Rob arrive, and Rob explains that he was supposed to be Santa, but his costume vanished. Suddenly, someone tumbles down the chimney, and when he steps forward, it is Walter. He tries to keep up the Santa act, but everyone recognizes him. He removes the costume and boldly declares himself Bachchan's rival. Bachchan warmly comments on how handsome Walter has become after years apart, and when he admits he envies him, Walter snaps, rejecting the compliment. Surveying the room, Walter notices Zane and recognizes him as a witch. He concludes Bachchan is unfit to lead the family since he cannot break his curse, even with witches like Zane around. Just then, Cuff arrives, failing to recognize Walter. Viola spots the present in Cuff's hands and claims it as hers, but Cuff insists Santa himself gifted it to her, sparking an argument. Seeing no immediate danger, Alice and Rob leave to prepare dinner, leaving Walter alone with Bachchan while Zane naps and the girls fight over the gift. Walter tells Bachchan he is unworthy to inherit the family, and Bachchan replies that he will be worthy once he breaks the curse and regains their mother's acceptance. Walter confesses he has always lived as the spare younger brother, overshadowed by Bachchan, and now that Bachchan is cursed, he wants him to feel that same displacement. Meanwhile, the girls' argument escalates, and to persuade Cuff, Viola lies that the present carries a curse. To her shock, Cuff immediately burns it, and Bachchan reacts at once, extinguishing the flames and returning the gift to Viola. Viola shyly thanks Bachchan, and watching her behavior, Walter challenges Bachchan, saying that whoever breaks Boken's curse first will claim the role of heir, which Boken accepts without hesitation. Walter attempts to exit dramatically but crashes into the Christmas tree, ruining his composure and losing all of his aura. Later, the Christmas party begins, and they share good food and lively company. And Viola successfully presents her gift to Rob, who deeply appreciates it. After all the guests depart, Bachchan and Alice walk outside together. When Alice playfully asks for a kiss beneath a mistletoe, Bachchan startles and falls backward into the snow. The moment reminds him of when he first confessed his feelings to her and said he wanted a life together, which had surprised her then. Now he thanks her for bringing warmth into his life, and Alice accepts his words as her Christmas present, but asks him to make her his as well. She lies beside him in the snow and says that since they will keep living together, she wants to share both the warmth and the cold he feels. That night, Alice dreamed of the past, back when she still lived in Bachan's family mansion, and her mother, the head maid, Sharon, was still alive. Sharon kept Alice beside her while she worked, and Alice watched how the other maids admired her mother, which filled her with pride. A young Bachan ran past them, waving brightly, and Alice shyly waved back. Sharon teased her daughter, asking if she wanted to be Bachan's friend, and while Alice refused to admit to it, Sharon easily sensed her feelings. Then, Rob approached, and Alice hid behind her mother's skirt, before confessing that she hoped to become someone like Sharon someday. Rob replied that he would be waiting for the day she came to work alongside him. Later, Sharon led Alice back to her room to rest, reminding her of her fragile health. She hugged her gently and said she loved her. Suddenly, Alice awakens from the dream, clinging to the warmth of someone who is gone. Meanwhile, Viola eats breakfast with her family, and after what happened during Christmas, she knows their mother is angry that both she and Walter were absent. Elsewhere in the city, after Viola urged Zane to let Cuff become independent, they allowed Cuff to shop alone. Zane trails behind at a distance, worried yet determined to give her space. There, Cuff buys groceries, and at first everything proceeds smoothly, but when the vendor asks her to pay with cash, Cuff does not understand what is meant. Zane hesitates, unsure whether to step in, but before she steps in, Cuff deduces that cash means money and pays correctly. Delighted, she buys soft bread and cuddles it happily. Suddenly, a boy tries to steal from her, and being a powerful witch, Cuff easily catches him. The boy struggles free and slips toward a sharp railing, but Cuff swiftly grabs and saves him. Overcome with guilt, he apologizes, and when Cuff notices her belongings scattered, she rushes to gather them, only to see Zane already picking them up, revealing to her that he has been watching the entire time. Back at the mansion, Alice finds Bachan wandering restlessly. She suggests accompanying him until he falls asleep, and in his bedroom, she lies beside him in his bed. Bachan asks her to leave once he is asleep, but as he tries to rest, he cannot stop staring at the woman he loves, which keeps him wide awake. She catches him, and teasingly offers to remove her dress for him, since that is how she usually sleeps, but Bachan begs her not to, fearing that he might jump her. He even imagines her as a succubus, and hearing that, Alice teasingly begins to undress again, but he hurriedly stops her, reminding her Rob might enter and get a heart attack from seeing them cracking. She proposes that they go and break the bed anyway, but Bachan refuses, insisting it is improper for an unmarried couple to share a bed, just as his mother once taught him. Alice asks what he thinks of his mother now, and Bachan admits that he still dreams of breaking the curse and returning to the family dinner table, loved again as before. He vows that once the curse is gone, he will persuade his mother to allow him to marry Alice, even though she is a maid, and he is willing to abandon his own royal family if the old hag refuses. Alice pleads with him not to do that, unwilling to see him lose them, but Bachan says they must first focus on breaking the curse. After he drifts to sleep, Alice quietly slips from the room, but outside the door, she blushes deeply at how much he loves her. She seeks out Rob to talk, and her words bring him back to the past, when Bachan gradually regained joy because of Alice. Rob remembers how frightened he felt when first tasked with raising Bachan, unsure how to care for a child. As Bachan grew older, they often argued during Bachan's bleak period of wishing for death. It was then that Rob believed the boy needed companionship his own age, and he remembered Alice. He tracked her down and offered her work. When Alice learned she would see Bachan again, she accepted immediately, leaving her abusive aunt and beginning a new life. It filled Rob with relief to later see Bachan laughing again, knowing Alice was the reason. Now it surprises him that Alice herself is conflicted, loving Bachan yet not wanting him to abandon his family for her. Rob reassures her that her feelings are not wrong, and that her bond with Bachan feels like fate at work. Later, wandering the halls, Rob hears piano music, and sees Bachan playing while Alice listens nearby. He encourages her to sing along, and Alice's voice rises with the melody, pure and graceful, and she urges Bachan to join. Startled by the request, he nevertheless sings to please her. Their voices blend, and while following the lyrics, Alice slips in a playful line asking him to marry her. Bachan flushes and abruptly ends the song, declaring the night over. Afterward, he thanks Alice for always standing beside him, giving him hope that he will break the curse someday. He promises he will one day bring her home with him. Alice does not answer, and she only wishes him good night and leaves for her room. As she walks away, she murmurs an apology, saying they can never truly be together because she is only a lowly servant compared to him, before silently asking her mother for forgiveness. Bachan suddenly appears beside her and offers to escort her to her room. She refuses, but he insists, saying he wants to treat her like a lady. Hearing that, Alice leans close and whispers that she desires him deeply. Then she slips into her room, leaving Bachan frozen in suspense, uncertain what she truly meant. Meanwhile, Viola and Walter search for clues about Bachan's curse. While Walter works on the other side of the room, Viola finds a servant's logbook, takes it with her, and leaves Walter stuck in a barrel. As she passes her mother, she hides the book behind her back, but her mother still scolds her outfit and orders her to dress more ladylike. Soon after, Viola returns in a new dress, and her mother insists she dress like this from now on instead of her usual pathetic, bum-like clothing. Viola tries to defend her old style, but her mother refuses, saying it isn't her choice. Frustrated, Viola vents to Alice and Bachan about what happened and declares she will live with them instead, refusing to stay with her cruel mother any longer. While Bachan urges her to go home, Viola offers to become one of his maids and begs Alice to convince him so she can live freely away from her mother. Just then, Rob appears, and when he compliments her outfit, Viola instantly changes her mind and embraces her new look. That night, Viola stays in Alice's room with Alice and Cuff, and after they change into their pajamas, they have a girls' night and chat about romance. Viola asks Cuff who she wants to marry, but Cuff dodges the question by tickling her. Viola then gives Alice the old servant's logbook, believing it holds clues to break the curse, and Alice accepts it gratefully. The three try to share Alice's small bed, and while Viola and Cuff argue over who must sleep outside, Alice giggles, happy to have company. Meanwhile, an owl watches from outside, and through its eyes, Daleth observes them from the witch's realm. She summons Zane, confronts him, and orders him to carry out a task. Later, as Alice reads the logbook, Rob appears, and she shows him the book filled with servants' notes, including his own handwriting. One entry mentions two women in white nun-like clothing visiting the mansion, and Alice realizes witches came there before, but when she asks Rob, he says he remembers nothing. Zane then appears with Daleth's message that she wants to be friends, which in witch terms means she wants nothing more to do with them after their actions at the witch's sabbath. Zane assures them he and Cuff will always help, and when he asks about the book Alice holds, she explains it is the old logbook she plans to read later. Later, Alice finds Zane wandering the piano room with Bachan beside him. When Zane teases Bachan about confessing to Alice, Bachan boldly declares that Alice belongs to him alone. Alice overhears and nearly collapses from embarrassment. When she later tries to read the logbook, she discovers it is gone, unaware that Zane took it on Daleth's orders to destroy it and protect the witch's secrets. Zane initially resists, but Daleth threatens to feed Cuff to the dogs from hell, forcing him to obey. As he prepares to burn the book, Bachan arrives and asks why. Zane confesses the truth about his mission and his fear of losing Cuff, then throws the book back, unable to destroy something tied to the kindness he has received from Bachan and the servants. To his shock, Bachan returns the book and tells him to burn it anyway, since he also cannot risk Cuff's safety, whom he considers a friend. Moved by Bachan's compassion, Zane vows to help him. He reveals that Daleth constantly watches them, so he pretends to destroy the book with magic, but secretly keeps a small scrap of paper, because as long as that fragment survives, the logbook still exists, and they must wait until Daleth stops watching before reading it again. Zane asks Bachan to act as if the book is truly gone, and Bachan follows, collapsing to his knees and begging for its return. He then lies to Alice, claiming he took the book himself because he wanted to read it, protecting both her and Zane's plan. Later, Bachan promises to protect Alice from everything, echoing words her mother once told her. Meanwhile, despite seeing the book destroyed, Daleth still doubts Zane's loyalty. She removes her mask and opens a tomb before her, revealing the preserved body of Sharon, Alice's late mother. Some days later, Bachan receives a letter from his mother asking him to return home. Seeing his conflicted expression, Alice tries to lift his spirits with her playful schemes, and Bachan admits it will be the first time he sees his mother in 10 years. Though nervous, he still wants to meet her after so long, and he confesses he hoped to face her only after breaking his curse, and since he has not, he imagines her disappointment. Alice senses his distress, and she wants to comfort him, but holds back and instead offers to accompany him to the main residence. They travel there together, and while Rob and the witches remain behind, Rob is aware that this meeting will test Bachan. Upon arrival, Viola welcomes him and explains that their mother wishes to see him alone. Alice tells Bachan she will visit the other maids, leaving him to face his family. As he is led to his mother's room, Walter quietly admits he already told her about Viola visiting Bachan's estate and to Walter's irritation, Bachan shows no anger towards him. Then, when Bachan enters, emotion surges at the sight of his mother after 10 long years. However, she merely greets him with cold disappointment that he still has not broken the curse. Bachan tries to speak about his relationship with Alice, but she cuts him off and orders him to continue the discussion the next day. Meanwhile, Alice is fussed over by the maids, who marvel at how Sharon's daughter has grown. On her way to her room, she encounters Bachan's mother, who startles at the sight of her, mistaking her for Sharon. The head maid clarifies that the girl before her is Alice, not Sharon. She later explains to Alice that after Sharon's death, the mistress changed completely, since Sharon had been her closest friend. That night, before Alice sleeps, Bachan visits her and admits he missed her terribly despite being only a few hours apart. The confession tempts Alice, and she leans in to kiss him, and while he wants nothing more than to kiss her back, Bachan pulls away, unwilling to risk losing her to his curse. After he leaves, Alice lies awake, wishing he would completely devour her lips and tongue.
Women.
The next morning, Viola brings Bachan to the place where he was cursed. At the grave there, Bachan recognizes the spot immediately. He recalls searching for a 4-leaf clover for Alice, when a witch suddenly pressed his back and declared he would never love. As they walk back, they pass their mother, and Bachan greets her, but she coldly criticizes Viola's clothing and reminds Bachan that they will resume their talk at dinner, warning him not to be late. Bachan tries to comfort Viola, but she assures him that she is used to such treatment. She confides that despite belonging to a powerful family, neither she nor Walter can live freely under their mother's control. That evening at dinner, Bachan sits far from the table to avoid touching anyone. Their mother announces that, with their father hospitalized, a new family head must be chosen, and if Bachan fails to break his curse by spring, the title will pass to Walter. As she prepares to dismiss him, Bachan asks to discuss something else. He speaks about Alice, and his mother remarks that Alice reminds her of Sharon. Bachan agrees and praises Alice as an extraordinary woman, but when he declares his intent to marry her, his mother laughs, insisting someone like him could never marry a lowly, peasant-like maid, let alone have babies with her. Anger flares in Bachan, and he boldly declares that Alice is the reason he still lives, the one who restored warmth to his cursed life. He vows to marry her and insists that neither his nor his siblings' lives belong to their mother, as they have the right to choose their own paths despite their noble status. With that final declaration, he leaves the room to return home, and his siblings accompany him to the carriage. Unseen by him, their mother feels pride at the man he has become compared to the frail boy he once was. Viola and Walter praise Bachan's resolve, and after farewells, he and Alice depart for the mansion. Back home, they play cards with Rob, and Bachan shares that he must break the curse by spring. After Rob goes to sleep, Bachan and Alice continue with a game of Old Maid. When only 2 cards remain, Alice tells him to choose carefully, saying his choice mirrors the decision between his family and marrying her. Bachan first draws the king, symbolizing his family, but refuses it and restarts the game. Then, he promises he will always choose his love for her, even when no options remain. Afterward, Bachan falls asleep, and as Alice drapes a blanket over him, she softly tells him she loves him too, hoping fate will have their side in the future. If you watch this anime recap until the end, comment down below the cursed boy and the busty maid. And if you love anime recaps like this, watch this video.